Hello and welcome everybody back to the YouTube. We are going to be revisiting the Midweek Metagame again this week. And as it is in the rotation, we are going to be playing some Brawl with a focus on playing creatures and legendary creatures specifically from the new TMNT set. If you've been around the channel, this isn't the first time that we've done this, and you'll remember that even with our budget focus, Brawl is just a little bit of a tricky format to kind of build for. Generally, it is a essentially commander-like format that uses 100-card singleton rules, but other than the stipulation that we have been put on ourselves here of our own budget, and then the stipulation that's been put on us by the game, which is that our legendary creature that we are using as a commander must be from the new set, there is not really a lot that restricts us, which means that any card that is legal on Magic Gathering Arena is going to be legal in this format. And what that's inevitably going to run into is that if you've been watching a lot of my other videos and you've been doing things like that, it is going to be considerably harder to get those 3 wins. But I have built a deck that I think is going to give us our best opportunity to be able to get those 3 wins. And that hopefully is just going to get us there by going under our opponents and playing as quickly as possible and dealing as much damage in as short amount of time as we possibly can. And I hope that that's going to get us across the finish line. I did have to use a lot of our commons and uncommon crafts in this, but because of that, I tried to make it only with commons and uncommons, and then the only rares that are in their deck are going to be with rares that we have opened on our packs on stream, or that have come from the various starter decks that we have made available to us by the game when we start a new account. Because this is once again going to be on our new account challenge, and this is going to be a budget-focused kind of guide. So this should be a deck that you, no matter where you're at in your MTG Arena journey, could be able to emulate, and most likely a deck that if you wanted to emulate, you could make an even better version of using whatever rares and others and mythics that you have just laying around in your collection. Because anything that is in your collection can be used in this format. With that being said, I hope you enjoy the video. Please like, subscribe, and continue supporting the channel. These have been our most watched videos over the past couple of weeks, and I'd like to continue to keep that hype train going. And without further ado, let's look at the deck. And as we can see here, we are going fast. That is the name of this deck. We are going to be playing Casey Jones, Jury Rig Justicar. So this is a card that we are playing mainly just for its stats and for its mana value. He is a 2-mana, 1 and a red, 2/1 legendary creature human berserker with haste. When he enters, we'll look at the top 4 cards of our library. We can reveal an artifact card from among them, put it into our hand, and the rest go on the bottom of our library in a random order. We are playing a lot of artifacts so that we can hopefully have enough critical density of them that we will hit something off of our Casey Jones. But that isn't really the reason we're playing him. The real reason we're playing him is because the secret theme of this deck is playing haste creatures with 2 or less power, and then playing the 3-mana enchantment Raid Bombardment. This is a enchantment that reads 2 and a red for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control with power 2 or less attacks, this enchantment deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker that creature is attacking. That's kind of our game plan here, is we're trying to put together, as you can see from our mana curve here, a whole bunch of 1 mana and 2 mana and even 3 mana creatures with very low power and toughness, but for the most part that have haste, to try and put down as much power and toughness as we can, and then try and get this Raid Bombardment out and just ping our opponents down. We are trying to count to 25 as fast as possible and get there in as few hits as we possibly can. To help us with doing that, we have a good mix of cheap, efficient creatures like Clockwork Percussionist, Fanatical Firebrand, Gitu Lava Runner, Goblin Bushwhacker, all of these creatures that allow us to get in for small chips damage. And then we're combining that with a whole bunch of direct damage. Our Burst Lightnings, our Chain Lightnings, our Lightning Bolts, Shocks, Plasma Bolt. We also have Lightning Strike, Wheeze. Just, we're trying to get low to the ground, deal a whole bunch of damage, and see how we can get there. We do still have some top end. We're playing Krang if we ever get to 9 mana. Volcanic Dragon at 6, it's 4/4 flying haste. The whole point of this, though, is that we are just trying to go low to the ground as fast as possible and try and do as much damage as possible and hope that that's enough to get across the finish line and kill our opponents before our opponents that have access to just better cards and better strategies in general can either stabilize or get into a position where they can run away with the game and we can't catch up to them. That's the deck. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll be back once we find some games, and then hopefully we can get our win. Okay, we are here, chat. We are here, YouTube. We are playing against Genghis Frog, green, blue. And I don't hate this. Once again, we have our Raid Bombardment. We have a creature that triggers it. We have some removal. We've got our Lightning Greaves. We've got a Battle Driver. I think we will keep this. We draw our third land to play our Raid Bombardment. That's our best case scenario, but... Bushwhacker on 1. Already off to a good start. There we go. We're going to be able to Casey Jones next turn. I mean, Raid Bombardment next turn. We can attack for 3 this turn. And our opponent's just going to concede. There we go. Wanton aggro can get there. With that, let us look at our first reward. Okay, let's see our first reward. We get... It's a rare. Oh, this is one of the great rares. This revolutionized Standard when it came out in Duskmorn. I remember my first Standard tournament that I played in years was a Team Trios tournament that we did here locally to raise money for one of our local players whose child very unfortunately was diagnosed with cancer about 2 years ago when Duskmorn had just came out. And this created out of whole cloth the Golgari Demons deck because it is one of the most powerful card advantage engines in Standard. Unholy Annex and Ritual Chamber is a enchantment room, which means that you can cast this as either Unholy Annex or Ritual Chamber first, and then once it's on play, you can pay the mana value of the other half of the card you do not cast to unlock that room, and then get that benefit later. And so for Unholy Annex, you cast 2 and a black at the beginning of your end step, draw a card. If you control a demon, each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. Otherwise, you just lose 2 life. So it's an extra card every single turn. If you have a demon in play, you get to drain your opponent for 2. If you don't, you just lose 2 life, but you're paying 2 life to draw an extra card every turn. It's a slightly worse Phyrexian Arena with potentially really huge upside. And I hear you asking, how are you going to get a demon? At the time, there was several demons and stands that you could play, some of which were actually really, really good. But also, you have Ritual Chamber, which is 5 mana, 3 black, for another enchantment that when you unlock this door, you make a 6/6 black demon creature token with flying, which turns on the other side. And it's just a 5 mana 6/6 flyer. That's pretty good on rate. And you are able to use both of those to great effect. And it has now largely fallen out of favor. This is a huge pickup, especially in a brand new account. Let's try this one. Splinter Radical Rat. This is Esper. Interesting. This is the first time we've seen an Esper deck. This is not a good hand. It doesn't do anything we want it to do. The Kavaran Consumed is not great here. The only thing we like about this is the Lava Spur Boots. This is a much better hand. We've got our Raid Bombardment. We've got our Clockwork Percussionist. This is good. We like this hand. We'll keep this. Drawing a third land would be great here. That'll be a 4th land if we ever get to 3. Okay, our opponent's going to Deep Cavern Bat. They're going to probably want to take either our Raid Bombardment or our Gold Vein pick. back our raid bombardment. There's our third land. We'll play the gold vein pick. Try and trade. Opponent's off white, so they can still cast their Splinter. 2/4 is problematic because we can't attack into it well. We will make this percussionist the biggest percussionist you have ever seen. This is currently our play, is we just have to try and make all of our creatures as big as possible. So that we can attack through that. Next turn it's going to be Casey Jones gets to be big. Let's play Casey. Casey doesn't find anything. We'll put the adventuring gear on Casey. Play the mountain. Put the gold vein pick on Casey. Our opponent's probably going to just try and kill him again. They discarded a counterspell to do so. Opponent gets to attack for 4. Let's play the Hellspur boss. Let's equip the Hellspur boss. Let's wild ride the Hellspur boss. And then let's kill the Deep Cavern Bat to get back our raid bombardment. Next turn we can raid bombardment. Well, we can Skittering Surveyor, get our land, play a land, pump our Hellspur Posse boss, and play raid bombardment. And that's going to be a whole bunch of damage. The Silver Fur Master is pretty good, but we can also block. We have just so many blockers. They can pay to make it so we can't block a ninja, though. There's a consideration of using the shock to kill the Silver Fur Master. The thing is, like, Silver Fur Master being a lord is good, but blowing up the Deep Cavern Bat, getting back our raid bombardment, which is like the whole thing our deck is built around, combined with killing their creature with lifelink, because we are just damage racing our opponent. And right now we win that damage race, and it's not close. Our opponent's taking a long time to think. We'll play the Skittering Surveyor. Our opponent might have just gone AFK. We'll go get our mountain. Play our mountain to make that bigger. We'll play raid bombardment. And we'll move to combat. Our opponent's now down at 4. Our opponent is dead to lethal on board. We just attack and raid bombardment deals 4 damage to them. And this is what the deck can do. This is what we're trying to do, is just race, get underneath our opponents. And it looks like it's going to work. Our opponent, I think, just... when we had that big turn where we were able to shock their Deep Cavern Bat and get back our raid bombardment and attack for a lot with our Hellspur Posse Boss, I think that our opponent has just decided that they are done with this game. And if you're trying to play this at home, you don't need your own Hellspur Posse Boss. Hellspur Posse Boss fills the role of, it itself is a 2-power creature that creates 2 other bodies. This can also be fulfilled with a whole bunch of other things, your Goblin Rabble Masters, your things like that, that is just anything that comes as a thing that triggers our raid bombardment, but also continues doing its own thing on top of that is what we're looking for in that creature slot. But we got another reward. Let's see what it is. It's a guaranteed rare or better. We didn't get the lucky up to a mythic rare, but we do get a free rare, and it is Queen's Bay Paladin. This is a rare from LCI. It's 3 black for a 5/4 vampire knight. When it enters or attacks, return 1 target vampire from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. You lose life equal to its mana value. This goes great into vampire kindred decks. Usually those all care about you gaining and losing life and having fluctuating life totals, as well as just reanimating any vampire out of your graveyard is a very powerful effect. Is this seeing any play? No, because vampires aren't seeing any play. But if you're trying to do vampire things, especially if vampires become relevant again at some point, and you want to do something like that in maybe one of these Brawl metagame challenges, this is a really good thing to pick up for that. Okay, now we are going against Michelangelo Mutant BFF. This is the 4-mana 4/4 Michelangelo. Okay, well, I don't hate this. This is actually pretty good. We have Beamtown Beatstick that we can do into Casey Jones, into Von Aspiring Sky Pirate, which is actually Captain Lannery Storm. We're going to be making a lot of treasures, and we're going to be able to use those treasures pretty effectively. Once again, it's combining the 2 things that we're trying to do. We're trying to play cheap artifacts, cheap creatures. Our opponent has played Lair of the Hydra and Snowgirl Force into Dredger's Insight. The annoying thing about Dredger's Insight is whenever something leaves their graveyard, they are going to gain a life, and we are trying to make it so that our opponent doesn't gain life. And they're playing a whole bunch of mulches. They got to gain a life already, which is the opposite direction we want them to be going in with their life total. We finally hit a card off of Casey Jones. We got Spicy Oatmeal Pizza, so our opponent knows about a removal spell. This is a removal spell that will kill their commander, so we're going to hold on to it for a while. If our opponent plays a creature that we care about, we will instead equip Beamtown Beatstick. They played a creature that can block Casey and could block profitably into Vaughn. So I think what we will instead do is equip to give Casey Menace, and then we will play the Fountainport Bell, take action, just get this mountain on top, attack, make a treasure token, use our treasure token, play this Bone Splitter. This druid only cares about when it dies, and right now we are trying very actively to not kill it. Our opponent knows about the oatmeal pizza and the fact that we can just blow up their Michelangelo if they play it this turn. Slime Against Humanity is annoying, though. Especially, oh, we should have seen that coming. This is just a Slime Against Humanity deck. That is not good for us. I don't know how we beat a Slime Against Humanity deck, quite honestly. We just have to race them, which means that we're probably going to have to use our Spicy Oatmeal Pizza to kill the Slime Against Humanity slime that they just made, equip our Bone Splitter, and just attack them for 5 next turn. So that they can't block. Catch this in. Get a different card. Phoenix Chick. Okay. So Phoenix Chick into Hellspur Posse Boss next turn makes a whole bunch of attackers. Because once again, the whole thing we're trying to do here is just race. Because our opponent is going to be able to Slime Against Humanity, and they're always going to be bigger than us. So we just need to be faster than them. Honestly, we might just Phoenix Chick load up the Phoenix Chick next turn. Just Phoenix Chick, put all of the equipment on it, attack with our Phoenix Chick because it has flying haste and we'd be attacking as a 4/1. I don't hate that. It all depends on if they attack us with the Circle of the Land Druid again, because if they attack us with the Circle of the Land Druid, then we don't need to do that. We can just do this. And we can play the Phoenix Chick. And then we can play the Posse Boss. Because Casey Jones has Menace, so they can't block with the single slime token. They can't block the Phoenix Chick because it has flying. And then this is an attack for 8. And then if we could get Raid Bombardment off the top, Raid Bombardment off the top would win us this game. Raid Bombardment off the top would be incredibly spicy. Especially with this Vaughn in hand, so we can be able to do that. Malevolent Rumble puts 2 slimes into the graveyard. So the next slime gets to be huge. We'll take 5. Okay, so now we have to just put our Phoenix Chick up. Boulder Dash here is good. We will equip Phoenix Chick. Equip Phoenix Chick. We want to do 2 damage to them, 1 damage to the druid. They can get a land back. It doesn't gain them any life. And then if we buff the Phoenix chick, buff the Phoenix chick. That's an attack for 6, and that's lethal, and the opponent sees it! There we go! And there we go! Was our deck good? No. But it did do what we wanted it to do, and that's the whole thing we're trying to do. Is when you're trying to play up against the giants of this game, or these unfair formats, what you have to do is you have to find an edge that you can exploit with the resources that you have. For us, that was, we needed to go low to the ground, we needed to go aggressive, and we needed to just try and get underneath decks, because there's no way we could outscale them. And so that was what we were able to end up going to do, and Casey Jones was able to lead us to that victory. We are going to now look at what our last reward for this video is, and that is Kiora the Rising Tide. This is actually a huge pickup. We have now a really, really cool cosmetic for Kiora. Kiora is one of the cards that they give you in the starter deck, specifically the Black-Blue Graveyard Matters starter deck. And this is just absolutely beautiful art by Magali Villeneuve. Magali Villeneuve is one of my favorite Magic artists, and this is just absolutely stunning. Both the Kiora the Rising Tide and then Brent Hollowell's Scion of the Deep legendary token that you get to make. This is absolutely beautiful. This has been a great video, and I am so excited to have been able to share it with all of you. I think what we will do is just to reward anyone who has been with us all the way through this. Let's open up the pack that we earned during this video. Why not? Let's see what we get. It is another rare. We got Leonardo, Leader in Blue. We played against that today. It was very instrumental in one of our losses. More Foot Elite, our 4th copy of Mutant Chain Reaction, 2 of the various Cyclers, a uncommon wildcard, which is good because in trying to film this video, I burned through almost all of my uncommon wildcards. And then finally, our rare is Madam Null, Power Broker. This is a really interesting card. I think that this card is actually much better than I gave it credit for, having now played against it in a couple of matches over the couple of weeks that we've been doing this, off stream and off the videos. This card is much more powerful than you give it credit for, especially if you're playing a lot of the lifelink synergies that go into mono black, especially in brawls, where you can just play a black creature with lifelink, give it double its power, and then now you're gaining back all the life you're paying to Power Broker. I think this is a really interesting card. With that being said, that's going to be it for this video. I hope that you all enjoyed. It was a lot of fun on my end to be able to make it for you. As I said at the beginning, Brawl is not really one of my favorite formats. In fact, I think it's a format that is one of the most difficult to play and to play well on MTG Arena, just because you're trying to compete against such unnatural odds. The fact that any card that is legal in any format in MTG Arena is illegal in Brawl means that if you're trying to do anything other than strategies that work to your advantage and allow you to even those gaps between your card quality and your opponent's card quality, you're going to just get left in the dust. And this is, I think, a really good avenue to attack on that, while it does require probably some amount of investment in commons and uncommons, hopefully you have enough wildcards to be able to make those investments, and then you're competing on an axis that is just kind of the great equalizer. You're trying to just chip in for getting as much damage as you can and eking out every little life point that you can get as quickly as possible. With that, if you liked the video, please subscribe to the channel. It means so much. We've been absolutely blowing up the past couple of weeks, and I'd like to continue growing as much as possible as we can do that. If you continue liking and supporting, maybe someday we'll be able to do more than one YouTube video a week, and we can do things on more Magic the Gathering. We can explore other avenues. I do a lot of D&D stuff as well, and it would be a lot of fun. If you liked what you see here in the video as well, you are more than welcome to come join us on Twitch. We are live most days, starting at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, until usually about 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. A lot of that is due to my work schedule. Sometimes we'll have to do streams on other days, or we will have some days that we will miss streams, or the schedule might be moved around a lot. But we'd love to see you. With that all being said, thank you for your support. I have been Sam. This has been the Jank Shore. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!